Welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, how about those Barrie Colts? 4 wins last weekend, 10 in a row now, and sitting comfortably in first place in the OHL Central Division. We take a look back and a look forward as the playoffs draw near. The March Mullet or Trim campaign is back, an effort to raise funds to address mental health needs in Simcoe County with a new beneficiary this year. We find out how you can help. The Canadian Men's Curling Championship, the Brier, begins this weekend. We get a preview from Barrie's Corey Hegestad, who is an alternate on the Team King entry. We get the conversation started after this.
Another huge weekend here for the Barrie Colts, and once again, I'm here with Gene Pereira. Gene, hard enough went to 3-3 weekend for the Colts, but when you're ending it off with London and Brantford, that's a really tough ask for a team like this. Hey, but they got it done. They won all three. Now they've won 10 straight games. What is the sense, 11 games left in the regular season, that this team has confidence going into the playoffs?
Yeah, it's an impressive run, and Barrie, I've been kind of talking about that opportunity to get home ice throughout the playoffs, and it's something that they didn't really want to talk about, but they put themselves certainly in that conversation, 1 point behind Brantford here after the weekend, and opportunity, still another crack at Brantford on home ice. So, they're just, they're playing outstanding hockey right now. They've been by far the hottest team in the Ontario Hockey League.
I think a lot of people around the OHL, but even around the entire CHL are starting to take notice of this Barrie team. How would you stack them up against the rest of the league when you look at teams like Kitchener and Ottawa, who are also having great years so far?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is 1 year where, it seems to be really wide open. And I think Brantford all along has been, the so-called favorite. But I think Barrie served a little bit of notice this weekend. And, lots of hockey to be played. But, Kitchener and Windsor and the Sault Ste. Marie out west and Flint, but Barrie, Brantford, Ottawa, the top three teams in the East. But I don't think there's any doubt that the Colts are right there with any of them.
I'll go game by game here from this past weekend because all three games were very notable in some kind of way. Thursday night at home against Owen Sound arguably might have been the toughest win of all three because Trenton Bennett for Owen Sound, their goaltender, had an incredible game, 57 saves, and it ended up being the Colts' fourth line that third period that ended up tying it up, getting it to overtime. How did you kind of take in the way the Colts were able to battle back in that one?
Yeah, it's the depth. And, I mean, this team right now is on a run of really good third periods. And, it was against Owen Sound. Bennett was outstanding. You kept him in it for Owen Sound. And Owen Sound is a sneaky team. I mean, they got some really good offensive players there. They've had struggles keeping the puck out of the net. But that game, Bennett was just outstanding. And, Barrie was chasing all game. But, again, a big third there. But, in a weekend like that where it's kind of easy to kind of overlook Owen Sound and, you got two big games coming up in London and then against Brantford. It's a bit of a trap game, but credit to the Colts. They found a way to get it done.
I remember texting you about this, but there was a missed call that potentially could have had shockwaves throughout the game. There was a 2-on-1 for the Colts. I believe it was in the second period. The puck deflected out of play, but the officials didn't catch it. It was just a foot or two above the netting. The puck goes down to the Colts end. They take a penalty. Owen Sound scores on that power play. Was there any talk about that during or after the game that could have meant something bigger?
Teams always look at that, and it just goes to show you just what the results can be when there's a missed call. For the coaching staff, it's kind of like pick your spots and. When you go, it's going to happen during a game. Officials do miss calls and things do happen. But unfortunately for the Colts, it ended up going against them.
Do you know if the coaching staff saw it in the moment, or was that something that they might have seen on a replay?
I think for them it was something they saw the replay.
All right, and then they go into London the very next night, and this is a big one because I know you wrote in your story. It was the last time the Colts had won in London was 2018, so it's been a long time for them in the Forest City. What do you remember the last time the Colts had won a game in London?
Yeah, I'd say London. It really speaks to just the Knights organization, just how good they've been over the years. That they have a lot of these streaks against teams on home ice. I think Sudbury is since 2010. It's the longest in the Ontario Hockey League. But Barrie had been quite a run, and I think for the Colts, coming out there and kind of really establishing what was a solid game. And what was really impressive, Julius, in that big win over Sudbury was the penalty kill. It had been kind of moving down the order of the Ontario Hockey League, a little bit of struggles of late, but that was just an outstanding effort. 5 London power plays that second period in a 3-1 hockey game where London could have really turned the script on that one. But Barrie's penalty kill was outstanding. And it wasn't just a matter of killing the penalties. I mean, London didn't really get a lot of good quality chances, and Barrie did a good job of keeping London to the outside. It was a solid win. And again, it's another thing where you're looking at, you got Brantford coming in the next night, and there's no doubt both teams got that game circled on the map. And it's easy to overlook a London team that's looking at the future. But the Knights, they're always a tough game, no matter, where they are in the standings. And, I thought that was a big win for Barrie. I mean, getting a win in London, it's just a tough building. I mean, earlier in the year, they got a win in another building that they've struggled over the years in Kitchener. So it really speaks volumes. I think more it tells you just how good this Barrie team is.
Yeah, just looking here, the defense limited the Knights to just 20 shots on goal and killed all 6 of their power plays. So a really impressive performance all around for the team. Ben Wilmot returned to his former team for the first time. Was there any kind of emotion for him for that night?
Yeah, I think there always is. Look, he was the one season in London, but that's where he kind of kicked off his Ontario Hockey League career. And, right now he's just happy to be on a team that has an opportunity. I mean, look, at the end of the day, these players, they want to win. And if they can help the team win, they know it's going to help the player themselves in pursuing their goal of playing professional hockey and as well winning a championship. And, Ben Wilmot is just, they added a guy that is a 200-foot player that obviously can put the puck in the net, and he's just brought something. But another thing, this guy is he's just he's one of the hardest workers, and you see that, and it's a lot. You make those moves at the deadline. Obviously, you look to bring talent, but you're looking for a guy that can come in and fit in the team, and Wilmot's been a perfect fit for the Barrie Colts here.
And also another key note taken away from that game, Jaden Newton, who was so big in the Thursday night win with the goal leading that fourth line. He ends up getting injured on Friday night. What's his status looking up till next weekend?
Yeah, I talked to Jaden after the game, and he's confident that he's going to be back in the lineup this weekend. And, he said it was kind of day by day, but he was more than confident he was going to return. But, Jaden Newton has just been outstanding the last, really, the year. Look, this guy is a grinder. You're going to get a physical out. He's tough to play against. But, I always kid him about, because when he does score goals, they really highlight real goals. And, just outstanding, and he came up with a couple of big on the weekend.
All right, now off to the big game, Brantford on Saturday. I think right away, the big thing on everyone's mind was Kachon Aitchison going to get that defenseman franchise points record? And he did right away with a goal in the first period. Seeing everyone kind of mob him at center ice and a huge celebration. What did that mean for not just him, but again, kind of everyone surrounding him and the team?
Yeah, that was a nice celebration. And to see the players were really happy for him. And look, it's no surprise if Kachon Aitchison, he's loved by his teammates, and he's loved by the fans. He's just a character, and since day one he came in, and look, the Colts brought him along slowly, but he just has really taken off to become, arguably, if you ask me right now if there's a favorite for the Ontario Hockey League Defenseman of the Year, it's got to be Kachon Aitchison. And, to see him break Brant Clark's record, a player that, he told me that he came in and he didn't get to spend much time with Clark in that rookie year. But the time that he did, he tried to be like a sponge and learn everything off him. And, credit to Kachon, because when he talked about, setting the award and what it means to him, he said he just really praised Brant Clark for, the way he helped him and what he taught him in that first year, and just watching his manners and just getting prepared for every game and, having an impact in every game. And Kachon Aitchison has certainly done that as a Barrie Colt.
Was it big for him to just kind of get that monkey off his back, so to speak, because he tied the record on Thursday, and then he had a huge 4.9 on Saturday. Was that just kind of just to get, that feeling that the record's there and just kind of put it off to the side for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, when you're chasing records and you're chasing kind of these milestones, you want to put it aside. But, in saying that, Julius, Barrie was down 2-0 at the time, and that goal was huge. And Barrie just really set off that. You could feel the momentum switch. I mean, you had the feeling that even though Barrie got down 2-0 early in that game, that they weren't by far not out of it. And who else but Keyshawn H, who's been coming up with big goals, be it overtime winners, whatever. This guy comes up big in big games, and here is another example. And it ends up being a milestone goal and a franchise record.
Something I noticed on that goal, it was a 4-on-4 at the time. Cole Baudouin was in the penalty box. I don't think the referees let him out to have that moment with Keyshawn. Is that something normal, or did you know how Baudouin felt about that?
Yeah, I mean, they got the hug. They opened the door, and you saw Keyshawn Easton go over there. He wanted to, hug Cole Baudouin. And if you talk to Keyshawn and Cole, they said they've been best friends. They joined the team together, and they've been a big part of the franchise. They played at the World Juniors together. I mean, these two have a special relationship, and it was kind of really neat how Keyshawn sought out Cole in the penalty box. He wasn't allowed to come out, but he went inside. They opened the door and they gave him a big hug. And Keyshawn certainly wasn't going to let Cole that moment go without thanking Cole for everything he's done to help him reach that goal.
Yeah, that's all I can think about at the moment. So I saw Baudouin in the penalty box, knowing how much he wanted to be, in that, kind of group huddle, and congratulate Keyshawn, given that relationship. A big key in that game, I think, for the Colts, they didn't have a power play goal, but the 5-on-5 scoring was so key, especially in that early on the third period, because it was tied 2-2 going into the third, and then the offense just exploded from there on out. Does that prove anything to the team that they can get the job done against a great team like Brantford at even strength when it matters most ahead of the playoffs?
When you look at this team through the year, I mean, early in the year they had some issues with penalties, right? And they were still playing really well 5-on-5, and it's something that Moskowitz kept bringing up over and over, that 5-on-5 were a good hockey team, and we got to stay out of the penalty box. And they got much better in that form. And again, they continue just to be 5-on-5, a good hockey team. And it really speaks to volumes just how good this hockey team is. You hear a lot of teams, they're a tough team to play against. It's something that Barrie has patterned and built their club around, a hockey club that's big up front, that's big on the back end, that is physical, that likes the forecheck. And, when it comes to 5-on-5, that's where they really take over games again, is that forecheck, the physicality that they bring. And, it intimidates some clubs. Other clubs are bigger and so on. But, that is Barrie to a T, and that's when they're at their best, is when they're playing physical up front and they're forechecking. And, you see that 5-on-5. I mean, this has been for a while. They've played really well 5-on-5, and that bodes well as you move into the stretch drive and into the playoffs.
This game got really physical later on. There was a couple fights in this game, but I do want to focus because Carter Lowe had a match penalty for a slew foot late in that third period. I'm curious what you think, if he's going to be suspended, or if even he has already. What's the word?
Yeah, I know that usually suspensions take a couple of days. There's a good possibility there. Luke Govro was ended up suspended for that nearly with Ryan Bolter fight. He passed the number of fights allowed, so he got an automatic suspension. But usually you see a little bit later on in the week the suspensions come out. But I think for Carnello, it was a situation that you did see his right foot move. I don't think there's any question it was a slew foot. So I think they're waiting for that. But for Carnello, it was nice to see him get that big goal, especially after getting the goal called back. I thought it was a bit of a tough call. They ended up ruling, even though they announced over the PA that it was a high stick. They actually ruled that it was kicked in, but it went off Lowe's foot and it hit his stick. You saw him hit the back of the blade, and It was below the shoulders, and I thought that was a good goal. But credit to Carlo. He comes up with another huge goal that puts the Colts out in front. They never trailed after that.
And for me, I'm looking at one more milestone. I saw the OHL post about it a couple of days ago. Dylan Smoskowitz, 40 wins already so far this season. As a first-year head coach is really impressive, and he's 4 away from tying the league's all-time record from a few years ago. For him, what is it going to show a first-year head coach having so much success like this early?
Yeah, I mean, I got a piece coming out on Barrie 360 about Dylan Smoskowitz later this week about just the job he's done as a coach. And in his first year, the 40 wins, I mean, that's an impressive mark. He's got a chance to get 50 here as we go, which will be really impressive. But Dylan Smoskowitz, again, when, he came in, especially the way he started the year, you get 6 losses. But one of the things that really stood out for me was that, there was no panic with them, right? There was just continued, positivity. And that's Dylan Smoskowitz. He tends to look at it from the kind of glass full, and it's really resonated with the players. They've really bought in. And look, he demands a lot. He demands, that you be in shape physically. And, we forget this week in that game against Brantford in that big third period, that was a team that was playing their third game in 3 nights. And a lot of that has to do with the coaching staff, Patrick Seston, Dennis Martindale, Connor Goddard, and Dylan Smoskowitz, and just their commitment to make sure that this team is in top shape and ready and prepared for every game.
I remember you wrote, and you were saying that, it's their 9th period. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it when you have 3 games and 3 nights, because, it's really tough when you have 3 games and 3 nights, and it's the best team in the league in standings-wise on night 3. Let's talk about the standings a little bit, because the Colts, 1 point behind Brantford as we speak. They both played 57 games, but the Colts could clinch the Central Division as early as Thursday. If North Bay loses in regulation, this would guarantee one of the top 2 spots in the Eastern Conference. And we've talked about home ice advantage, but really, how much of an advantage is it in Barrie for these playoffs?
Oh, I think it'll be huge. I mean, look, you get obviously the last line change. You get an advantage there with the 4 games you're playing in front of your home fans. And, we saw last year with Kingston, Game 7. I mean, that was a big difference maker in that series where, there wasn't much to determine between the 2 teams. But I think home ice is going to be big these playoffs when you look at these teams. And, it could be a big factor here.
All really exciting hockey this past weekend. National team and the Barrie Colts. Gene, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Julius.
Well, I see by the calendar, March is coming up soon. That must mean it's time for a mullet or two. We have invited our good friend Amber McCauley back, who's raising money again this year, as she does every year, but you're not getting a mullet this year.
This will be my first year. I'm just going for the trim. So I'll make a nice donation and get a nice trim and cheer on some other mullet warriors. I'm really excited that we have one of them here today to be part of this conversation.
And we'll find out who that is in a second, and his mother as well. But first of all, let's talk about the mullet or trim. March in for a mullet or trim. This is a pet project of yours, and a year doesn't go by where you're not supporting some worthy cause.
That's right. Every year we choose a different charity. This year we're cheering on Cody's House Youth Center. They are a small grassroots charity who's doing amazing stuff supporting youth through programs in the community, getting them involved with seniors, doing different craft projects. They do bike safety, and it's all been inspired by Carrie, who started the charity after losing her son to suicide. So really full circle support in the community, and really happy to be giving some energy and awareness in their direction this year.
Yeah, we should point out, Mullet, mental health, this is kind of what the drive is, right?
Every year it's for youth mental health. March Mullets is an international movement. It's not my idea per se. I've been inspired by some movements around the world. Australia in particular, they raised like $1 million doing mullets for youth mental health. So We're aiming to raise $5,000 this year. So we're starting small and growing.
Well, Australia is a lot bigger than Simcoe County. So let's put some perspective on that.
Yeah.
Really, really important that we get reaching out to people. There's a huge mental health problem, a lot of mental health issues in general in the population, but Simcoe County has been hit pretty hard with this.
Absolutely. Like statistically, Barrie, Innisfil, and Aurelia are 3 communities that have been flagged as having concerning rising levels of youth getting involved in gang-related activity. So we are in a unique county that youth are struggling. So I think these sort of initiatives are crucial.
You have brought with you today a mullet warrior. A young mullet warrior. Mm-hmm. Who is this young man?
This is Bennett, and he just got his pledge card this week. He is starting to ramp up pledges because he's going to sacrifice his hair and do a mullet. And his friends and family and even strangers can donate to Bennett. We have a few warriors collecting pledges. And he's here with his mom, who's a stylist, who's been part of the event many, many years. And so it's really exciting to have them share why they're getting involved and spending their valuable time doing this.
All right. Well, let's start with Bennett. Bennett, thanks for coming in. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Why did you want to get a mullet?
Because it looks pretty cool, and my friends have a mullet, and it looks cool, and I think I want the same thing. And my mom cut my hair like that, and I liked it.
Pretty proud mom there, Sarah?
Very much so.
How did you wind up getting involved in all of this?
I met Amber through Connect Hair Studio, where I work, and we've been involved in this mullet campaign for 3 or 4 years now. I personally have been involved for the last 3 years, and it's such a great cause. I do whatever I can to help out with the community, especially when it comes to the kids.
Did you have to twist Bennett's arm to do this, or did he just kind of say, yeah, I'll do it?
I had mentioned that I was involved in the mullet campaign, and he's been talking about bringing his back. So I said, well, let's make it really worth something and put the word out and get you involved, because I don't think you can ever be too young or too old to be involved in your community and try to help others.
So, Bennett, you have a pledge card already. Do you have a lot of people signed up for it to help you out?
Yes.
How many people do you think so far?
9 or 10.
That's great. Maybe we can get a few more to sign up for you after they hear you today. Any of your friends going to do this with you, or is it just you and you're going to show off?
I think my friend Ledger and Emerson.
Is Mom going to get a mullet?
Oh, no. I make the mullets. I don't wear them.
Now, I had no idea because my older boy had one through COVID and he kept it for a while. But I go back to, hockey and underneath the helmet and that kind of thing. But I understand there are all kinds of different kinds of mullets, not just, short on the side and business in the back.
Yeah, they've become quite modernized over the years. So they're actually quite trendy right now. We're seeing a lot of them just on the day-to-day in the salon.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite the resurgence.
So if somebody's kind of hanging back thinking, I don't know whether I want to do that, there are options.
There absolutely are. There's the modern mullet is quite the look right now, and there's other terms that have come up over the last couple of years. Things like shullets, where it's a combination of a shag and a mullet. They're really coming back. It's not the 80s mullet that we all know and fear.
Thank goodness. But that's the other thing. You don't have to get a mullet. You can just get a trim.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
you can get a trim or a mullet. Like Bennett said, like any age is good. And you could choose your own mullet style. So someone was a little hesitant who signed up and said, what are my options? I want to keep my length. And I said, you'll talk to your stylist and you get to choose your own mullet adventure. And if you just need a spring trim, then this is the time to do it.
So you've got a goal of $5,000. How many mullets and trims is that?
Our goal is to get 25 mullets and 50 trims. But to be honest, if there's one champion like Bennett, like they can raise a lot just themselves as an individual. So we make our goal every year somehow, and we'll see.
Well, and he's off to a good start. He's ahead of everybody else already.
Mm-hmm.
How can people get involved? If somebody wants to get a mullet or get a trim, what do they do?
Well, we have a pretty good social media presence on Facebook and Instagram. It's a Mullet or Trim campaign. There are links to sign up. It's pretty easy to register. You can call Kristen from Cody's House, and you can also email mulletortrimcampaign@gmail.com.
Is there a set price that you have, or is it a donation thing?
We don't set a minimum donation just because we want everybody to feel like they can participate. So if, last year we had some people who donated $2 for a trim, and that's
Right.
okay. And some people donated $200 for their trim. So it kind of all works out in the end.
Every little bit helps,
Yeah.
yeah. Are there specific hours for this, Sarah, or can you make an appointment any day or time?
Yeah, we're going to be Monday, March the 2nd from 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. is our set times. But, if we get an overwhelming response, I know all these wonderful volunteer hairstylists we have that day would be happy to open up the rest of their day to accommodate anybody wanting to participate.
It's not just you. You've got a cast of 4 or 5, 6 or 7?
There's a pretty good team of us. I think we're up to half a dozen hairstylists now that are wanting to get involved.
And all donating their time.
Yeah.
What a great tribute.
And there are different studios who are also participating in different ways. Martina at Charisma is donating a $400 gift basket, and people will buy tickets and they can win that gift basket. So different stylists and studios participate in the way that they can, and we're certainly open to recruiting more people to help out beyond the March 2nd Big Cut Day.
If somebody wants to do that, how do they get in touch with you?
Email is the best,
Okay.
mulletortrimcampaign@gmail.com. And we'll look forward to brainstorming how we can participate together.
Thank you all, and let's get out there and get a mullet or a trim, everybody.
Thanks for cheering it on.
It's the What Barrie's Talking About podcast. I'm Julius Hern. The Brier starts on Friday in St. John's. I'm joined here today by Corey Hagestad, a Barrie curler who had a really unique experience. He was the alternate for the Ontario curling team, skipped by Jaden King, that will represent the province in St. John's this week. And Corey, first off, I'm really curious how you connected with Jaden King's team ahead of the Tankard.
Well, I've actually been with Jaden now for 4 or 5 years. I've kind of followed him, watched him around, knew he was the next guy kind of coming up. Dylan played in our major league a few years back, and Owen I kind of knew from here and there, like just through a few bonus deals, through mixed. We played mixed a few times against each other in the past few years. Victor was brand new to me this year, so it was kind of an easy sort of a fit to kind of watch. I've always kind of watched Jaden, especially because he's just a next level player, and like all 4 of them are excited and keen, ready to go. But our history was kind of like that. We kind of just met through curling, obviously. Me being the old guy. Looking down at them, watching, wow, this guy's got some talent. So I always took a keen interest into them. And Jade and I had talked a little bit last year after our mixed provincials about coaching and things of those magnitude. I just didn't really quite have the time available to be able to follow them around because they played like 11 events through the fall, and that's a big time commitment, right? But come the end of November, Jade approached me and asked me if I'd be interested in giving them a hand at Tankard. And I cleared my schedule, and rest is kind of there.
For those who don't know, the Ontario Tankard format's a bit different than what we see at the Brier and the Scotties, right? Can you explain a little bit of that, how that works?
So the Ontario Tankard it fluctuates year to year to year. Some years it's a round robin, other years the triple knockout. This year was a triple knockout. So the boys had a pretty nice path all the way through, as they were ranked first in the provincials. So they got the lower end seeds for their first couple games, but it kind of gave them an opportunity to build some ice acknowledgement and being able to use their skills, get a good feel for the ice. The Brier is now 2 pools of 9 teams, or 2 pools of I think it's 2 pools of 9 teams, and it's top 3 out of each pool advance to the playoffs. So it's a little bit different format. So they have 2 round robins of 9, so you don't play everybody. Similar to the Tankard this year. So they're in a tough pool. I'm not gonna lie. We got Gushu and we got Jacobs in our pool. But anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. They started off with Nova Scotia, I believe, and PEI their first 2 games. So if that gives them an opportunity to get their legs underneath them and get a good feel for the ice, I like their chances.
I know this team, Kings team, they lost in a Tankard final a couple years ago. Before, how much was that experience helping them out this time around?
So watching them, I believe that really helped them out quite a bit. They knew how to react in those situations. This year was a real effort for them to be able to focus, to be staying in the moment, being in that moment, and being confident. And I don't want to call it cocky, but being able to have some swagger, knowing that you're good, but don't be cocky. I don't want to see brooms banging and stuff like that. I just want you to just go out there and know that you can take anybody down. And they achieved that so well. And we really focused on worrying about the things that we could control, and which are our 8 rocks. Can't control their rocks, we can control our rocks. So they really bought into the program and really showed what we could do. And we pushed really hard for the shutdown end. The shutdown end is an end that after you score a 3, you get a good momentum 3 spot or score 2. The more important thing is to come down that next end and play better than you played that end where you got the points, to shut them down, to kill any sort of momentum that the opposition has. You take it away and you kind of go from there.
So this will be their first Brier, so obviously it's going to be a kind of a big hump to climb, maybe a bit of a culture shock because you're on TV, you're mic'd up, I'm sure. Maybe the pre-trials helped them a little bit in November or in October last year with kind of maybe the nerves, I would say. Do you kind of have that same sentiment?
So I think they're pretty calm. They're very excited. You need to go to your first Brier. It's a feeling like nothing else you can really describe. I think they're also going in there as a learning goal this year around. These guys will be back. They will be back again. They are very consistent and very good. Their demeanor is so grounded that I think that just bodes well to them being able to continue on with the sport in the years to come. They're looking forward to the experience. They're looking forward to the challenge, but they're also understanding that they can literally, make the playoffs. And once it's like 2 events, right? Get through your round robin. If you qualify for the playoffs, that's a whole brand new event. So if you can get there, you never know what can happen.
At the Tankard, you had a unique kind of perspective as the alternate. You're not necessarily playing all the time, maybe even if at all. What did you notice? Being on the ice with them, especially especially in the late knockout stages when the pressure's on.
I noticed how they really bind together. I noticed they rely on each other. I noticed the gradual as the week kind of continued on, how they really did stay in the moment. That was really important for the final game. They had made the 1-2, so the winner of that goes right to the final. Loser goes to the semifinal. And they didn't bring their best effort out in that one. And I think they realized that might have been like that spot where you kind of, okay, we got to wake up and we got to go. Had a good semifinal game. And then, against Sam in the final, they played really well consistently throughout the whole game. In the 10th, then they got a little bit of trouble there. But Jaden made just a beautiful last puck on his last there, a double hit and roll. And I don't think Sam's shot that he was trying to play was even there because he had to have enough weight that he would push that yellow rock out and still stay. I don't think he could have stayed with being able to do both. So I think like for the majority of for us, because we kind of all looked at each other at that point in time when he came after that shot. We kind of looked at each other. We didn't say anything. We just looked at each other. We kind of said, I think that's it, boys. I think you've done it right here. So, I mean, that sort of a thing is a very cool experience. And for them, they've, it's always a goal to get to that Brier, and they've achieved it. They were so close a couple of years ago, and just a little extra, confidence and a little extra belief, a little extra staying in the moment, a little extra mental component, I think, was the difference for them this year.
So Spencer Dunlop is going to be their alternate instead of you. I'm sure the time commitment, I'm sure, is definitely tough for you. Going into their first Brier, what do you think, all 5 of them, what is going to be their biggest challenge in St. John's?
I'm not even sure there's going to be a challenge, Julius. I think it's going to be more so of taking it all in, sitting there and just taking it all in. It's a special place, especially in Newfoundland this year, and with Brad's being his last Brier. That building's going to be so loud and crazy. I think they have a unique opportunity to turn some heads. I think, like I said, if they can get through the first 2 games and have good outings, then they get Jacobs next and then Gushu and Jacobs. I can't remember which order, but they are back to back. So out of those first 4 games, if they can come out 2-2 or 3-1, I really do like their chances. And that'll also give them a momentum build so that as they go forward, they will have that opportunity to think, okay, we can do this. And you never know. The sport's kind of slippery that way. You just never kind of know what's going to happen until you're in the moment.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see if this area, even knowing the local connection, but knowing that there's only one Ontario team in the Brier this year, to be able to kind of rally behind them, especially after curling has been maybe the biggest story at the Olympics so far this year. I'm curious of what your takeaways are from the Olympic tournament this year, both the women and the men's side, and even obviously the cheating allegations were the big story, but I'd like to see your takeaway.
So I find that kind of comical too, because it was, I've heard kind of both sides of it. I've listened to Jennifer talk. I've listened to Courtney talk, Kevin Martin obviously talk, and it's kind of a very gray area with that double touch sort of a thing. If you actually do watch curling, the majority of people, because the handle's so close to the rock itself, so when you're actually putting your turn on and throwing it, your hand does actually slide off the back of the stone. So the rule is you can double touch the rock prior to the hog line. They just say you can't touch the granite part. I think in that situation too was kind of a unique situation. I think the records kind of were something that was in play. I think the frustration on Oscar's part, Team Sweden, I think that, I've seen that many, many times before in this game where you're frustrated because you can't get anything going and you're grasping at anything to make something happen. And unfortunately, it kind of got blown out of proportion a little bit. And then, as a result of that, I think Rachel had a rock taken. I think Nick had a rock taken. There were 3 or 4 different rocks, I believe, that were taken throughout the tournament so far to this point. So I never like seeing the officials getting involved in the curling component when it's a natural thing. Everybody's throwing the rock the same way, at the same time. That part doesn't change. But to be able to call out, I'm kind of on the fence with that sort of idea. But I think it seems to be now, the last few games I've watched, the officials are out of it. So I think it's kind of rested for now, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at Rachel right now, she started off real tough. And again, it was that mental component where they struggled. They had that day off and they've come back and they put some good games together. That they beat Sweden, which was a huge win for them to get them kind of momentum to go into the playoffs. I think they'll be in there. And Brad's been playing really well. They seem to be kind of on a mission, if you know what I mean. You can kind of see it in their eyes and their face. They want to win this. So I hope all the best to them. I really do. Like two Canada golds would be awesome.
Yeah, we're recording this, the round robin in both tournaments still yet to finish up, but it's been super exciting. And you could even say that with all the social media reaction we've seen, even in this country, even south of the border, that curling is starting to grow and grow and grow. How much growth are you going to see coming off of these Olympic Games?
So I think you can look back to, was it 2000? It would have been 18 when the United States, John Schuster won the gold medal. Was not expected to be in the contention at all. They caught lightning in a bottle, let's say, and went through. You watch the numbers from that point in time in the United States of how the sport had grown because of that win. Now you're seeing competitive United States teams, not just 1 or 2. You're seeing 10, 12 competitive teams. So that sort of effect has that bubble. It's also the Olympic effect too, where right afterwards everybody's so excited they want to try this, they want to do this, and then a couple of years down the road it's kind of mellowed out. But it seems to be that it's actually still kind of revving up. We still have a problem in our sport with the grassroots. It's hard to get new curlers into the game to a competitive level. So that needs to be worked on, starting at the high end, to look further back down rather than concern ourselves with the top elite curlers in order to grow that base root again. But I think, over time, I think we're getting some good people in the organizations that are doing that. So hopefully we'll see a different change with that.
I think with the Men's World Championships being in the U.S. this year, I think that's also going to be a big spot because they're going to look forward and see, we're hosting this year.
100%.
That's going to be a big tournament. Obviously, the Brier winner is going to go there. A few things on the Brier while I have you here. More national storylines. Brad Jacobs, as you mentioned, is still at the Olympics. A tight turnaround coming off the games and going right to St. John's. How do you think he's going to fare with that tight turnaround?
Depends whether he wins gold or not, to be quite honest. I don't think it'll be too much of a difference for them. They are going to be tired. There's no question about that. Curling at that level for that period of time is very mentally draining, not just physically draining. So you might see them stumble a little bit at the start of the Brier, but I think at the end of it, they'll still be in contention with with your typical ones that will likely be in contention.
A key choice for that team ahead of the games, they picked Tyler Tardy as their alternate, and I think Mark Kennedy said that Tyler Tardy is like the future of curling. The way that his presence on social media, just the kind of personality that he has. Do you agree with him?
I do. Yeah, I think that you'll see a few of those kids. Like Matt Dunstone is an example. He was kind of that a few years ago. Now he's not very old at all either, but he's kind of that. They're all kind of in that same kind of group per se. The Horgans, as an example, they're kind of in that same Tardy group. Jaden, Dylan, Owen, Victor, kind of the same sort of thing. They're in that little kind of group. So I think you'll see a lot of flip-flopping around too. The quad is now done. So the majority of teams that none of us would know about, or none of you would know about, have already kind of been assembled already going forward. Nothing would ever be leaked out until the season's complete. So you find that funny with the Olympics, how it has changed the game because everything is based on the quad for the Olympics, and that's what everybody's goal is to get to the Olympics.
Yeah, then Tardy's going to be back with Kevin Cooey's rink. Is also from Calgary as well. Brent Lang, I'm sure you have a bit of a relationship with him. He's a Barrie resident. He's going to be with Mike McEwen's team. Do you see Mike McEwen finally getting over the hump? 11th appearance for him in a row.
Gosh, you know what? I've watched Mike for so many years. He's a little bit younger than I am, and he has been knocking at the door forever. I remember him trying to get out of Manitoba initially, and he was final, semi, final, semi, and then finally won that. And then when he won that, he seemed to kind of be in everything at that point in time. Won it again, runner up the Brier, so does he have a shot? 100% he has a shot. Solid team with the two young boys there in Flash. I think it's a field that is very competitive. I think you'll still see the cream of the crop rise there, which would likely include Mike.
You mentioned it earlier, Brad Gushu, St. John's Brier. It's his last one. How do you expect him to kind of play out, especially in the group with Jaden King?
Wouldn't it be something if he did win it though? Like one last time just to kind of go out. That'd be the icing on the cake for him, eh? He's like won everything. So I mean, you got to take your hat off to Brad. He's also a very decent character. So a Hall of Fame career, if you want to call it that, icing on the cake, has a shot for sure. You're still going to have to go through Jacobs. You're still going to have to go through McEwen, Dunstone. You're still going to have to go through all these guys who are also hungry, to get there, to win this bad boy. I think the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I think all the curlers that are going to be there are going to be kind of blown away with the volume in the building, because I wasn't at the last one, but I'll tell you what, from what I could hear and what people have told me about it, it was so loud in that building that you were just being rocked. So I would assume it probably in comparison to like the Jays in the World Series in that dome being how loud that was, right? A little different sport, a little different amplitude, but similar sort of a vibe, I would guess.
How do you see the whole tournament playing out? Do you have any predictions?
Well, I can't really bet against my team, can I? I don't know who's going to win that. I think it's a coin flip for a few of them. I would like to see our team Ontario and Jaden's team get into the conversation. I think that would be a good building point for them. I think it's just such an exciting opportunity that they can go and experience this and really learn and grasp what it's like, what their future is going to be all about. Because this isn't the last time you're going to hear of them or see them. So I think it's neat for them to kind of see the end of another era, and they're the next generation kind of coming up. As far as the winner of it, gosh, I really don't know. One of the last six, I would say.
It's a really tough field. All starts on Friday. Corey, again, really appreciate you coming in again. And once again, congrats on the Tankard win.
My pleasure. Thanks, Julius. Appreciate it.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Julius for his input, to Logan Miller for pulling it all together, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast, available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.